judge. Statistics would tell us that some 70% of folks out there haven't planned at all. Haven't thought about it, haven't planned for what happens with anything when they die. Not their pets, not their home, not their property, not their bank accounts, not whatever it happens to be. Or haven't also thought about what happens with all this stuff I become incapacitated. So what happens if you don't plan? If you don't plan, the state of Michigan has a plan. Okay? And the state of Michigan's plan is basically to take all the stuff that you own, and in this case, pets are considered property. Okay? Take all the stuff that you own and pass it on to whom the state of Michigan says it should go, and we lawyers call that intestate succession. The state of Michigan, by statute, says here's where your state's going to go. So, if I've got a single individual and they don't do any planning, the state of Michigan has figured out for them where all of their property is going to go. For most clients, they would look at me, and I guess I would ask you this. How many of you really want the state of Michigan deciding where your stuff's going to go? All right, so we won't spend a lot of time on the state's plan for any of us, other than to say this. One, the state doesn't plan for your pets beyond who they would go to. So the state of Michigan doesn't have any sort of a plan that would set aside money to take care of your pet, as a pet trust might do. It simply is, it's just like your car, it's just like your furniture as far as the state's concerned. And so, kind of getting back to your question, if a judge was being called upon to divvy all this stuff up, all right, I can't tell you that a judge would necessarily base the decision on who the pet's going to go to by who got what, okay? What is more likely going to happen, I think the judge's interest in dividing it up, if we look, we're talking in the case, let's say we've got multiple kids or something like that. And if the estate is supposed to be divided equally between them, the judge's job in that case is going to be figure out what an equal division is going to be. That means they're going to have to put some value on the pet, but the value that they put on the pet they're going to treat just like the car, just like the furniture, and divvy it up that way. So they don't care in making that division whether it's a pet, a car, or anything else, which is a problem because we would like to think you would treat the pets differently. We would like to think that the pets might have some consideration for taking care of the pet, but the law isn't designed to do that if we don't do planning. Okay?
Might he ask for volunteers? Might the judge ask for volunteers?
Could, but that's all going to be up to a judge now. Judges, sometimes they do things like that, sometimes they don't. You just never know what a judge is ultimately going to do with any of this stuff. It might be that the judge looks at the family and says, you guys decide. You guys all get together and you figure it out. I know a judge in Lansing who would do it very much that way. Come back to me if you can't decide. Other judges will take the view, that's my role, that's my job, I'm going to divvy it up and here's what I've decided. So I guess if that kind of though suggests why it can be important to do your planning, because you do have options. You can make those decisions rather than letting some judge out there who's going to look at deciding it for you. Does that make sense?